Arthas, Rise of the Lich King. Up ahead was a cold, blue-white light. Arthas moved toward it, almost breaking into a run, and the tunnel opened up into what Arthas could only think of as a throne chamber. For just ahead was a structure that made Arthas' breath catch in his throat. The Lich King's prison sat atop of this twining tower, this spire of blue-green, shimmering ice that was not ice, that rose up as if to pierce the very roof of the cavern. A narrow walkway wound, serpentine, about the spire, leading him upward. Still filled with the energy granted to him by the Lich King, Arthas did not tire, but unwelcome memories seemed to dart at him like flies as he ascended, putting one booted foot in front of the other. Words, phrases, images came back to him. Remember, Arthas, we are paladins. Vengeance cannot be a part of what we must do. If we allow our passions to turn to bloodlust, then we will become as vile as the orcs. Jaina, oh Jaina, no one can seem to deny you anything, least of all me. Don't deny me, Jaina. Don't ever deny me. Please. I never would, Arthas. Never. He kept going, relentlessly moving upward. We know so little. We can't just slaughter them like animals out of our own fear. This is bad business, lad. Leave it be. Let it stay here, lost and forgotten. We'll find another way to save your people. Let's leave now, go back and find that way. One foot followed the other, upward, ever upward. An image of black wings brushed his memory. I will leave you one final prediction. Just remember, the harder you strive to slay your enemies, the faster you'll deliver your people into their hands. Even as these memories tugged at him, clutched at his heart, there was one image, one voice, that was stronger and more compelling than the others, whispering, encouraging him. Closer you draw, my champion. My moment of freedom comes, and with it, your ascension to true power. Upward he climbed, his gaze ever on the peak, on the huge chunk of deep blue ice that imprisoned the one who had first set Arthas' feet on this path. Closer it drew until Arthas came to a halt a few feet away. For a long moment he regarded the figure trapped within, imperfectly glimpsed. Mist rolled off the huge chunk of ice, further obscuring the image. Frostmourne glowed in his hand. From deep inside, Arthas saw the barest hint of an answering flare at 2 points of glowing blue light. Return the blade! Came the deep, rasping voice in Arthas' mind, almost unbearably loud. Complete the circle! Release me from this prison! Arthas took a step forward, then another, lifting Frostmourne as he moved until he was running. This was the moment it all had been leading to, and without realizing it, a roar built in his throat and tore free as he swung the blade down with all of his strength. A massive cracking resounded through the chamber as Frostmourne slammed down. The ice shattered, huge chunks flying in every direction. Arthas lifted his arms to shield himself, but the shards flew past him harmlessly. Pieces fell from the imprisoned body, and the Lich King cried out, lifting his armored arms into the sky. More groaning, cracking sounds came from the cavern and from the being itself, so loud that Arthas winced and covered his ears. It was as if the very world was tearing itself apart. Suddenly, the armored figure that was the Lich King seemed to shatter as his prison did, falling apart before Arthas' stunned gaze. There was nothing, no one inside. Only the armor, icy black, clattering to lie in pieces. The helm, empty of its owner's head, slid to a halt to lie at Arthas' feet. He stared down at it for a long moment, a deep shiver passing through him. All this time, he had been chasing a ghost. Had the Lich King ever really been here? If not, who had thrust Frostmourne from the ice? Who had demanded to be freed? Was he, Arthas Menethil, supposed to have been the one encased in the frozen throne all along? Had this ghost he'd been chasing been himself? Questions that would likely never have answers. But one thing was clear to him. As Frostmourne had been for him, so was the armor. Gauntleted fingers closed over the spiked helm as he lifted it slowly, reverently, and then, closing his eyes, he lowered it onto his wide head. He was suddenly galvanized, his body tensing as he felt the essence of the Lich King enter him. It pierced his heart, stopped his breath, shivered along his veins, icy, powerful, crashing through him like a tidal wave. His eyes were closed, but he saw so much. All that Ner'zhul, the Orc shaman, had known, all he had seen, had done. For a moment, Arthas feared he would be overwhelmed by it all, that in the end the Lich King had tricked him into coming here so that he could place his essence into a fresh new body. He braced himself for a battle for control. With his body was the price. But there was no struggle, only a blending, a melding. All around him, the cavern continued to collapse. Arthas was only barely aware of it. His eyes darted rapidly back and forth beneath his closed lids. His lips moved. He spoke. They spoke. Now we are one.